Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar, and I'm here to tell you that the top-selling free speculative fiction book on Amazon today is an action-packed space opera. But before we get to that, we have 4 other books to talk about, because every single Friday, the team here at MetaStellar reads the first few chapters of every book on Amazon's top 5 list. It used to be top 10, but that was like way too much work. I was helped out today by assistant fiction editor TERRENCE Smith and community members Toby Patton and Rommel Madre. And Terrence is here with us today. Hi, Terrence.
What am I doing here?
You're keeping me company, so I'm not all alone. The link to the article and to all the books is in the description box below. For those who are new here, MetaStellar is an online magazine of speculative fiction. All the content is always free to our readers. But if you do want to spend money, you can buy our first 2 anthologies. Year 1 has been out for a year, and Year 2 just came out. And the links to those are in the description box below as well. All your money and donations and everything else goes to support our writers. We pay for original fiction. Our next submission window starts October 1st, and Terrence is one of the editors who's organizing that. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. The window opens on October 1st and runs through the end of the month. Last time we had hundreds of submissions, and if you get accepted, you will be included in our next anthology. Okay, so let's go on to the books. And we're starting with book number 5, Kingdom of Chains. Here we go. And let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. This is the first of 2 books in a Kingdom of Chains, a kind of a romance fantasy series. The other book is $6, and it's not on Kindle Unlimited. This is the author's first time on our Free Friday list. And Toby Patton wrote this for us. And he says that the story begins with Isabel, who has a pet golden eagle and releases it because she wants something at least to be free. Even though the guy she's engaged to, Lord Hodge, is very unlikable, and she's keeps trying to delay the wedding, and he's getting very resentful about it. She hasn't grown to love him in the last 5 years, so she doesn't think she's going to, but she has to marry him soon. That's what's best for her family. That's what her mother tells her. Love will come later. But she really doesn't believe that. Instead, she is homesick for the land that she's come from before famine and drought destroyed it and turned it into the wastelands. Also, each time she lets her eagle free, it comes back with new things tied around her ankles. So something out there is calling her to go home. Meanwhile, we switch to the point of view of writer Blackmane, who follows orders, and he and his team are sent over the wall to defend the despicable Lord Hodge on a mission in the wasteland. All he knows is duty and sacrifice until he meets Lady Maddock, which I'm guessing is Isabel Maddock, our protagonist. And Toby thinks that a star-crossed romance is about to ensue. But, of course, she's engaged to somebody else, and he's got an oath. And so he has to decide, what does loyalty actually mean? So Toby says this is a great story for people who like witty dialogue, fast-paced action, a dystopian backdrop. And he thought there was a little bit of a dialogue that clunked, but otherwise he was really drawn in by the world building, and he thinks he's going to keep going with it. All right, next we have Call Sign Cupid by Guida and Michael Anderle, the first of 6 books in the Paranormal Mercenary Core Urban Fantasy series. The other books are $5 each, but they're all in Kindle Unlimited. The 6th book is due out later on this month, and both of those authors are regulars on our Free Friday list. Michael Anderle in particular has, like, I don't know, hundreds of books to his name. He's like, he's a machine. He's literally a machine. I think he's the founder of the 20 books to 50K group in conference. So he's a big name in the indie publishing space.
Maybe
And
it's
I'm
an AI.
yep. I'm a big fan of both of these authors, and I love urban fantasy, so I'm definitely the target reader for this book. And the protagonist is Shelby. Shelby. It's spelled Shelby with a CH, but she complains that it's pronounced Shelby and no one says it right, including me. Her foster dad is a retired general. She doesn't know who her original parents were, and she's about to ready to follow in his footsteps. She's going to join the army. Specifically, she wants to get into army intelligence. She's a tomboy, and so when the book opens, she has breakfast with her family, then takes a bus to the military entrance processing station, gets a physical, a hearing test, and a blood draw. Then the woman who drew her blood tells her to run fast if she doesn't want to become a lab rat. And the woman says that she'll delay filing the results to give Shelby time to get away. She's confused, but she gets out of there. When she's outside and stops to catch her breath, she checks out the paperwork that she got. It has the word failed stamped on the top in big red letters. And then there's a small box checked on the page that says not human. All right. That's an awesome beginning, I think. And so even though it's a young adult kind of story, I think I'm going to be sticking with it. And so I read on. So a guy shows up. Claims to have been sent by the woman from the army, and he claims to be the head of an organization that specializes in people with unique abilities. He tells her that she's in danger, and she refuses to go with him. Duh. So he gives her business card. She gets on a bus, she goes home. She wants to talk to her dad, her foster dad, to find out what to do, but her dad is off playing poker with his buddies and won't be home until late. And meanwhile, the military police show up at the door looking for her. She climbs out her bedroom door, jumps the fence, runs through some yards, finally hides on a culvert. And then she takes out her phone and gives the weird guy a call. He shows up to rescue her, and he tells her that her pursuers weren't military police at all. They're a private militia group whose mission is to wipe out supernatural, and she's a supernatural. So it is cheesy, it is cliche, I love it anyway, and I'm going to be sticking with it. Next, we have another book that's totally up my alley, and again, I read the beginning of it, Witches, Histories, and Murders by Scarlett Moss, the first of 3 books in the Paisley Island Cozy Mysteries, a magical mystery series. The other books are $5 each, but they're both in Kindle Unlimited. It's the first time this author has been on our list. So cozy magical mysteries are the perfect comfort reading. I'm definitely the target audience. Phoebe, the protagonist, is middle-aged. She's been married for 28 years, and has just been served with divorce papers. Then she got laid off from her job. Then a lawyer called her. Some famous woman writer has died and left her an inheritance.
Murder, she wrote.
Because of course she does, yeah. And she figures it's a scam, but the lawyer sends her a plane ticket, so she's like, hey, free trip. And so she goes to this island where there's a funeral for the woman, where she finds out that this famous author was actually a distant relative, and that witchcraft runs in the family, of course. And there's a lot more.
What you say?
Yes. There's a lot more backstory. There's a witch hunter and somebody being framed for murder and all sorts of other stuff that is kind of summarized. So I'm starting to think that there's a prequel series or a prequel book. And I suspect there is, called Witches, Mysteries, and Legacies. And I'm linking that down below as well. But that one costs $4 and is not in Kindle Unlimited. So anyway, she's got 3, not sisters, cousins, I guess, or distant cousins, and they all inherited this island, and there's money to maintain it, and the author wants it to be turned into a retreat for writers. So they've got money to maintain it, and there's a recipe book, which apparently is also referred to as a grimoire by other people. They march up into the attic of the house they inherited to look for this grimoire and find the body of the guy who had previously framed this famous author for murder. So I guess that's happened in the prequel. So they have to
Let's handle
clear,
it. Murder, she wrote.
yeah, so they have to clear this author's name. And they have to solve the new guy's murder before they themselves are arrested for killing him. And so it's a cheesy beginning. Again, it's totally cliche. I must have read this 100 times already, but I will happily read it once more. So it reminds me a little bit of the the TV show Charmed. So I'm going to be sticking with it. All right, next we have Wolves and Daggers by Melanie Karsak, the first of 6 books in the Red Cape Society, a Gaslamp fantasy series. The other books are $3 to $5 each, and they are all in Kindle Unlimited. Oh, I forgot to mention, Kindle Unlimited is where you pay $12 a month and you read all the books you want. It's like a Netflix for books. It's great for people who read a lot and who don't mind being like part of the, Amazon ecosystem. Anyway, we've with this author has been on our list before. Ramal Madre read this book for us, and he says it's set about 100 years ago, and it's kind of a steampunk world. There's coal-powered automobiles and weird mechanical night visions glasses, and there's supernatural or preternatural entities in the dark and dank corners of London. And our protagonist is Clem, and her partner Quinn helps her out on their assignments for the Red Capes, kind of a supernatural police force. She's a plucky, petite go-getter with a heart of gold, and her partner Quinn is hard-nosed, burly veteran with a formidable beard. So as the book starts, a bomb goes off, and somebody's trying to kidnap Professor Jameson. Clem and her partner spring into action. They thwart the kidnapping attempt and discover that a werewolf was behind it. A werewolf who's the second in command of one of the most powerful wolf packs in the region. And he was acting alone, which werewolves don't usually do. They rescue the professor from the bomb. And the werewolf retreats, and so they are unharmed and go back to headquarters. Their boss tells them that this is really unusual. Werewolves don't behave like this. They're usually brawling, whoring, and robbing, not kidnapping professors. Besides, they can't usually even read. So he tells her to talk to a werewolf who's an alpha of a unique wolf pack who can read, and they are staunch royalists who uphold the status quo. So Rommel says that he enjoyed reading this book so far. It's a nice police procedural and a fast read, and he plans to finish it later. He recommends it to people who are into magical procedurals, and even people who aren't into this genre in particular might enjoy it because it's a fast read. All right, before we go on to the number 1 book today, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. Our magazine would not be here without you. Thanks, guys. And now on to book number 1. The number 1 science fiction book on Amazon today is Break a Marine by James David Victor, the first of 9 books in the Starbreaker space opera series. The other books are $4 each, but are all in Kindle Unlimited. And if you are not a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, they're all on sale today for 99 cents. The author is a regular on this Free Friday list. And Terrence, you read this book. What did you think?
I thought it was all right. It's basically another one of those feature sci-fi books where humanity has ventured beyond Earth, and giant megacorporations are controlling almost everything. So basically based on a true story. And the story follows a woman named Holly Cropper, who is a member of the Earth Alliance Marines, which is basically the big space military force in this universe. she has a tiny ship with a 3-man crew, and she normally does smaller scale jobs. Like in the beginning of the story, she does a rescue mission where a small family is under distress on a rickety mining vessel that family rented from a mining corporation. After that, she gets assigned an urgent mission to investigate a large mining ship called the Tetra, who has not sent out any transmissions over 48 hours. And in the prologues, the ship is mining an asteroid that has all these precious gems in it. And what it ends up uncovering is that there are structures within that asteroids that have perpendicular angles that do not look like they're naturally occurring. And so, of course, we're going to end up encountering some aliens later on in the story. I think the writing does a good job of painting a picture of the universe and some of the structures. The ships, they're futuristic, but they also are written in a way where you can somewhat imagine them being made in the future. And also, it does somewhat take into account real physics in space. They have front thrusters that will slow their acceleration because of course, force propels an object in space, that object will just keep moving in that direction at that rate pretty much forever until something stops it. So I was grateful that it is somewhat grounded in reality, which does kind of help me buy into it a bit more. It's not just like little spaceships flying around, blasting each other, going pew, pew, pew. So, in short, I am somewhat interested in this story. Can I say I'm going to continue reading this immediately? Maybe.
It sounds a bit like The Expanse in terms of a near future asteroid mining, that kind of thing. Did you get that kind of feel from it?
Well, what it actually reminded me of more was there's this series of video games from a developer called From Software. The title of the franchise is Armored Core, and it has a very similar kind of universe where mega corporations are competing for resources and various parts of the solar system, except in that video game series, you're a mech pilot and you design your own giant walking robots to the smallest detail to take
Okay.
on missions.
Well, of course you would say that. For those of you who don't know, Terrence is actually a video game journalist for Game Rant, when he's not volunteering here at MetaStellar. All right, so that was the #1 book today. I also am planning to go and read that because I love space operas, and I love space operas with female protagonists. So that is definitely my sweet spot.
Yes, the female protagonist. Yes, it's nice
Yes.
to have female protagonists in sci-fi.
Yeah. It's yeah, I like it when like female authors write male protagonists and male authors write female protagonists. It just seems to be a slightly more interesting story when that happens. But that could just be me. Anyway, James David Victor is actually the pen name of a couple of authors, a married couple, a man and a woman, and she's a USA Today bestseller. So yeah. So definitely worth picking up if you get a chance and if you love space operas. And I will see you all next Friday. Bye, everybody. Bye, Terrence. We're supposed to have a hurricane coming here in Massachusetts, so
crap.
yeah. All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.